Last day of holiday break, which means it's now or never to figure out the CloudFlare Worker stuff. I'm also babysitting Kiwi today. He's hiding. So yesterday we got to the part where we have a local CloudFlare worker running that is supposed to be successfully hosting a GraphQL server. And we started with a GraphQL starter that comes officially from Cloudflare and feels kind of outdated. We used Luke Eads. He's one of the DevRels for Cloudflare. We used his project to skim a little bit about how to connect all of this to DynamoDB. And I'm trying to use GraphQL data sources, which is, I think, an Apollo. I'm trying to use GraphQL data sources to hook up with DynamoDB, because I think that's the correct way to do stuff these days with Apollo server. Looks really cool. So we got to the point where we successfully get a response not successful from Apollo. I don't think it's actually talking to DynamoDB yet. And what I'm going to try to do now is figure out where exactly this is breaking. So if we go into the code, let's see, where does this happen? So if we disable the data source, the widget stable data source, so if we disable that, then the Apollo server should start and give us the schema and basically not have an error. Let's see if that is still true. It was true yesterday when I stopped. Come on, Wrangler dev. I really wish my computer worked faster when I'm streaming. I should figure out why it doesn't at some point. One day, maybe. Maybe if I quit front and Notion, that'll help. Okay, Wrangler dev, come on. It's not that hard to run a JavaScript. I guess it's running Webpack and everything behind the scenes, so that might be slowing it down. Okay, so why is it always doing that? So we have this, we can run localhost, and you see we now get no error. Yes, we didn't send a query, that's why it didn't work, but we get the docs and we get our schema description, at least for the types and for the two queries that we've defined so far. We're porting the queries from an old project, by the way. So that works. It stops working as soon as we enable the widget stable. Widget stable is a DynamoDB data source that we created yesterday. So I'm going to try to re-enable that data source and go into widget stable here. And I guess we can start by trying to figure out what it is that breaks here. I've also, let's see, the old Pokemon API has the same class that extends stuff, and all of that should be working. So I guess we are down to the old way of, debugging code bases, where we would just comment out a bunch of stuff and see at what point it breaks. This is a debugging technique from the old PHP days, and I really wish if anyone out there knows how to get Apollo GraphQL server to give you more useful errors other than just saying it isn't working, that would be amazing, because I don't know how to do that, and it's always been a pain in the butt. Okay, so it detected changes. We run this, and now it's going to break. No, context reset. So we get the docs. Okay, so that's working. So if we comment out everything that we added to the DynamoDB data source, it seems to, oh no. I need to actually save this file. So we weren't running the test I thought we were. I saved this commented out code, saved Apollo.js. Will it detect the change? No. Actually, let's rerun this. And while we're rerunning it, I can go Google Apollo GraphQL server debug mode. Does it have a debug mode? Let's see. Apollo server debug, something that would print things out. Debug mode, debugging options. If true, stack traces are included in GraphQL responses. Okay. Defaults to true. Okay, but let's pass it in explicitly anyway. So we're gonna say debug is true, and hopefully that'll give us slightly better error messages, or maybe at least some console logs when things go wrong. Let's try Wrangler dev again. Come on, Wrangler dev, run. Pa-pa-pam. All right, so let's see, how is this gonna go? Wow, computer sounds like it's taking off. CPU load, yeah, pretty high load. Okay, come on. Logger, no. Oh, mock resolvers, that's cool. I haven't seen that before. So now if we go to back to the playground, what do we get? Okay, it didn't error out. That's good. So the error must be somewhere in here. What happens if we uncomment these help getters? So we have a getter that's we have a getter for the for what basically we have a getter for each of the queries we've kind of implemented. Now let's see if that's gonna work. It detected changes. It's gonna run. Come on, computer, you got this. Mavoca, no, unfortunately I don't have an M1. I just have a 16-inch MacBook Pro from I think it's from 2020. Let's see, how old are you, computer? So it is a 2019 model. So maybe that's the problem. I should probably just get like a desktop computer at this point, because I don't really use this thing as a laptop almost ever. Okay, so if we load, it detected changes, but are the changes actually running? No. Okay. Cool. Oh. Oh my God, I'm an idiot. So the problem is that I'm running super at the wrong time. So you see, I was running super this table name, this table key schema before I defined those things, and that's why it wasn't working. So now we're gonna restart this to make sure that we're running the latest code, try it again, and hopefully it's going to actually connect to my DynamoDB data table. So to see that, we're gonna go to AWS, because I'm gonna need to get an ID. So my account, come on. Wow. Okay. So we have this thing, go in, I'm gonna go to DynamoDB tables to find the user ID that I wanna check. And I think we're connected to dev. Wow, why is it so slow right away? It was doing better yesterday. Okay. Okay, so we go to, no, we go to items, DynamoDB items. We find the SparkJoy table. I think we're using widgets to dev. I forget why it's widgets 2. And we're gonna look at let's see, let's take live stream. Okay, we're gonna take the live stream user ID. Forget what that's about. Okay, it ran. So if I rerun Apollo now, or the Apollo playground, we now get an error. Cool. But the error wasn't much more useful than before. Why? Okay, so why is the error not more useful? Is there more stuff in here? Post internal error, GraphQL, no. Response, must call super constructor. Oh, so why is it showing the error here, but not in, that's interesting. Okay, so must call super constructor in derived class before accessing this or returning from derived constructor. Okay. So what we can do then is, what can we say? Can we define it like this? Can we just say table name equals widgets table and table key schema equals the key schema? This may work. And then we can add, we can say TTL equals 30 times 60. And we take this away. Let's see if that works. So at least we got an error. We found where to look for errors. That was kind of dumb. Let's see. Come on. Detect the damn changes already. Why is it so bad at detecting changes when I'm streaming? Not great. Okay, let's try again. So we tried that yesterday. Sorry, I have no idea how to pronounce that, but in Cloudflare Workers, you can't use process.env. Constant. You have to just use the plain constant, otherwise it fails. I don't know why it fails. It may be the Webpack configuration that comes with the starter we're using, but it does just not work. It says that process env is undefined or something like that. Okay, so it's saying it can't load. How do we define static things in ES6 classes? Static properties ES6 class. I always forget how to do this. Static properties and methods. So if we have that, so if we say static blah, is that gonna work? Let's try again. Wrangler dev. Okay, so Wrangler dev, please work. Yeah, I think one of the problems is also that we're using a starter that's not TypeScript. So apparently my JavaScript has gotten a little, rusty. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of TypeScript lately, so my JavaScript is rusty. And it's also configured weirdly, where the Webpack config doesn't seem to work really well with a modern ES6 for some reason. And I don't know why. But, so what can we do? I guess we can say, you can change the constructor like this. So we're gonna set up this.ttl equals blah. 2 minutes, and then we're gonna take the table name here and the key schema and put it here. And that should work. Or let's do it like this. Const table name equals widgets table and const key schema equals this, just so that the code is easier to read. And then we go table name key schema, which should be a little bit easier to read later on, because otherwise I'm just gonna forget what each of the parameters are. Okay, so now it should run. Okay. I'm also curious. I also wonder if the problem I have is actually that I'm using my iPad. See, I'm using my iPad as a second screen, which uses Sidecar, which I think is causing a lot of the slowness. And yes, do learning. I think the slow boot up time for the worker is because of my computer, not because of right. It's because of my computer being slow, not because Wrangler itself is slow. I think that's more likely the reason than Cloudflare being problematic. Because Cloudflare is super fast. Let's see. But hey, at least I'm using the new Canon utility for webcams, so that I'm not using a lot of CPU to run the camera, because I'm using my DSLR as the camera. Computer, you're trying so hard, but you need to try harder. I mean, I guess it's also uploading at a full 7 megabytes per second right now, so that can't be easy either. Honestly, it's kind of amazing how far computers have come since I started using them. All right, now is this gonna work? No, it's not. But maybe we have a different error. Widgets table is not defined. Internal server error. What do you mean it's not defined? Wrangler toml in env.dev.vars we have widgets table defined as like this. So what is the local environment name? I know that this is the production name. Let's do some Googling. Cloudflare, or actually Cloudflare Worker environment variable for local dev. For local dev. For local dev. So environment variables. So we have vars. And then we have production vars. Top level environment variables under the vars. Okay, but what is it for development? I don't know what the environment is called for development. What we can do is try to, let's console log node env and see if that tells us the environment name. So it detected changes. It's going to try again. Come on. Please console log something. So yeah, the current error we have is that this way of defining tables is wrong. And also I'm not sure why doesn't VS Code have an extension? Why does my VS Code not have an extension for what's it called? For TOML files. Kind of annoying. Node env is not defined. Interesting. Okay. Documentation. What is a parameter? Any bindings? What is a binding? Come on. Okay, no, I can't click on things. That's weird. Okay, so we're gonna try it like this. Instead of having it there, we're gonna do it like this. And then go to widgets table, delete this code, and then let's see. So config updates are usually not picked up automatically, so I'm just gonna start it up manually, but I don't know if that's actually necessary. Why is... Okay, so bindings is just linking back to the same document, and parameter is linking to... parameter is linking to nothing. Okay, and documentation for further comparisons. Fetch event. Lifecycle methods. Okay. So I think there's something here I need to dig into more. Alvaro, the keyboard I'm using is called... I can't show it. Let's see if I show it like this. So I don't know if you can see that, kind of. It's called a truly ergonomic keyboard. Literally the company is called Truly Ergonomic, and the only keyboard they produce is this one. All right. So if we go back to Apollo and reload now, is it going to work? Oh, very nice. So we have this. Now, how do I run a query? Let's say all widget by user ID. Wait, is that how you do it? Crap, I forgot. Oh no, how did I forget how GraphQL works? We go here and we get my user ID again, or an old user ID. Okay, we don't need that. Paste. No, I do need to say which one is this, right? Or it needs to be like that. What's... okay. I knew I was missing something. There we go. And we're gonna get the... Let's see, what do the docs say? If we go to widget, we get the widget type. So widget type, and let's go with widget ID and let's go with follow-up questions, or let's go with created that, because it's been a while and I want to see how long it's been since I tried that. So play. Aha, very cool. It doesn't get any widgets, but I think this actually made a request to DynamoDB. Although I have no real way of confirming that. Let's try something else. What else can I try? Let's try a different user ID. What about this one? So this should all be dev data, or it should be talking to dev data. So if we go here, Why didn't copy paste work? Oh, because these are all the same user ID. Jesus Christ, Bird. So it did not successfully talk to DynamoDB, which we can tell because it didn't return anything. And now, as Mvokwa said, we're gonna check what's up. Let's commit this. At least GraphQL isn't dying, but we're still not actually talking to DynamoDB. So if we go to widgets table, what is the result? Oh, I know what's wrong. Haha. We commented out my resolvers when trying to debug stuff yesterday. So let's try again. I'm just going to restart it because I don't know how soon it's going to detect changes. Let's see. Wrangler dev, what are you going to do? Yeah, so it looks like I was last playing around with this in 2019. That's fun. Actually, this is a really good testament for how far JavaScript has come and how stable it is. I have this code from 2 years ago that has been untouched and just kind of still works. And updating it to modern code and a completely different execution environment and everything is not that bad. So that's kind of impressive. Now let's see. Wrangler dev. When will you wrangle the wrangling? All right. So if we press play again, now it should be talking to DynamoDB. And something's happening. What is happening? Why isn't it asking me for permissions to talk to DynamoDB? Let's try reloading this, just in case. Okay, press play. And the request is pending. Fascinating. Payload. Okay, that's the payload, and we are not getting a response. This looks bad, but it's actually progress. It means we are trying to talk to DynamoDB and failing. Oh, no. What? Fascinating. So we got an error. What is the error? So errors message XML HTTP request is not defined on line 2, column 3 in the all widget path. Cool. So if we go to widgets table, here when it's trying to get all widgets, it's using the hello Russian person. It's interesting. That's the same thing you said yesterday, and I still don't know what it means or whether it's just spam. Are you a bot? XML HTTP request is not defined. Why is it trying to do that? Let's see. CloudFlare Worker, blah. Supported, not okay. Brah. Had to remove cross-fetch package to get it working. FaunaDB package now supports. Okay. So I think the problem we're running into here is that if we dig into the source code of the library I'm using to connect a data source, DynamoDB data source, let's see, if we go into scan, scan from the, where is scan defined? Data source, Apollo data source. Ugh. What? How can I go to the definition of this code? DynamoDB from AWS SDK. So scan. Let's see, how is this implemented? And is there a newer version of it? Polo data source DynamoDB. And let's look at package.json. I don't have cross-fetch implemented. Do we have anything else? Websites, widget table, websites. Random. Oh, we can go to yarn lock. Fetch, cross-fetch, no. So I think the problem is going to be that this is using an old version of the AWS SDK that's built on XML HTTP request, not on the other thing. So Polo data source DynamoDB. What version of packages are you using? Okay. Yes. So this is, you see this code is pretty old. What are pull requests? Blah. Issues. Okay. That's annoying. Apollo server, let's see. Is there, no, there's no mention of Cloudflare here. So what can we do? Let's see, how complicated is this package? I wonder if we can... Yeah, what can we do with this package? It has utils, DynamoDB data source, which gets from AWS SDK clients DynamoDB. So let's see. We're gonna go into the AWS SDK here. Source. No, not source. Node modules. Sort by name. And we find there's gonna be AWS in here somewhere. AWS. Clients. DynamoDB. Where are you? DynamoDB. And if we look at the DynamoDB client, this is completely unreadable. Great. AWS comes from libcore. Services require paginators. Node loader, libcore. Whoa. All right. So I have no idea how that's implemented, but I know that Luke in his project was using a more modern version of here. So he has a Workers AWS template, and he's using the modern AWS SDK client DynamoDB. So let's try using that. Now I know that the DynamoDB data source, the constructor, supports getting a custom client. So we're gonna try to provide a custom client. We'll see if that works. So we run yarn add AWS SDK, AWS SDK / client DynamoDB. And then in the widgets table where we instantiate the client, right? So how is Luke doing it here? SQS example, Dynamo example. We create a DynamoDB client, and then we're gonna put it in. Cool. So we say Const client equals DynamoDB equals new DynamoDB client, which, right, because I'm using this, comes from DynamoDB client equals require at AWS SDK client DynamoDB. So we instantiate the thing here with the config DynamoDB client, and then we pass in the client need at AWS SDK v3 client because of a XML HTTP request. Let's see if that works. Wrangler dev. I'm really curious if that's going to work. Would be cool if it does. Although it's probably not going to. But we can try. So what is this actually doing? DynamoDB data source. It has a DynamoDB doc client. Then if we provide the client, right. So it's just kind of doing some very light manipulation and abstraction on top of the defaults for us, which I guess is nice. But let's see. Is it at least going to run now? Or will we get a different error? That would also be useful. So reload the playground. Press play. This DynamoDB doc client.scan is not a function. So that's a new error. Now, how do we get a DynamoDB document client in the modern code? AWS SDK v3 DynamoDB document client. Is that a thing that still exists? It is. Perfect. So this is v3. Yes. DynamoDB document client. Oh, but this one is in libDynamoDB, not in client DynamoDB. Why? Who made this? Okay. Why is this? Yeah, I have no idea what that is. So if we create a client, so we have DynamoDB client. What? Okay. What? What is this doing? What? Why is... I don't understand who makes this. Like, why is this so complicated? Oh, papam. Okay, let's look at the README here. AWS SDK lib DynamoDB. Yes, yes, yes. DynamoDB client. We create the client. Then how do I create the document client? Okay, let's try that. Yarn add at AWS SDK slash lib DynamoDB. And then we're going to import that. So we say const DynamoDB document client equals require at AWS SDK slash client DynamoDB. No, from lib DynamoDB. Okay, and then does this export the kind of stuff we need? Static from. No, it doesn't. Dynamo. Okay. Creates. Why? Why does this have to be so complicated? So we create const doc client equals DynamoDB document client dot from client. Don't understand why this is so complicated. And then okay. And then we try again. No, not yarn add. Yarn, no, Wrangler dev. Let's see if this is gonna work better now. See how is Luke doing it. He usually has good APIs. Okay, handle request. Yes, yes, yes. Dynamo example, DynamoDB client. So we might need a newer distinct data source for DynamoDB. Because the way this works might not be the way that the new DynamoDB API or SDK wants it to work, or the way it's implemented, I mean. Apollo data source DynamoDB with AWS SDK v3. No. Hi. Hello, bird. What's up? All right. So ignoring first still change. Let's go back here. Reload the page to make sure we have all of the latest stuff. Press play. And yes, scan is not a function. Of course it's not. Wow. Okay. Let's try a different approach. So that's not gonna work. What we need to do instead is, instead of this dot scan, we're going to construct a scan command, which just sounds kind of dumb, and then send that to the client and use the response. Right, Bert? Yes. So let's see, where were we? How is there scanning here? Nope. But yeah. All right. So we say const command equals new scan. So because we're not, oh, there we go. Scan command. Paginate scan. Where's the scan command? No, I don't want just the type. Okay, so it's giving us the scan command, and the scan command is then going to have all of this same config, right? I think. And then we're going to say return. Yeah. So how is this thing doing it? Or actually, let's console log it. So const result equals await this dot dd. What was it called? This dot DynamoDB client doc client. This dot, come on, DynamoDB doc client dot send the command, and then we're going to return the result just as is, and I'm also going to console log it here so we can see what's up. Okay. Let's see. So what this is going to answer is whether we can at least make DynamoDB command requests, and then we can go and improve how that's actually happening, because the tooling we're using or the libraries we found are way too old and don't really work with modern stuff because yay, computers. Let's see. Low-key, the reason I'm using CloudFlare Workers instead of Lambda functions is because I wanted to try it out. Oh, nice. Now credential is missing. Cool. So that's promising. What credential is missing? DynamoDB client credential is missing. All right, because now the way we configure the credentials looks different. So we go back to the AWS SDK documentation. Where is it? No, not this one. AWS SDK v3 DynamoDB. Okay, let's see. There we go. Credential. No, just tell me, like, new features. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, how do I? Yes, what are the? Let's go here. DynamoDB client configuration. DynamoDB client config. Come on. DynamoDB client config extends DynamoDB client config type. See, this is the kind of shit that Java developers create. Dynamo can be config type. Where do I see a full list of client DynamoDB? Come on. Okay. I just want to see a list of params. What are all of the params I can use? Client DynamoDB. Region. Yes, yes, yes. How do I pass in credentials? Okay, let's go steal from Luke again. So here, where we are doing the config, so we're going to say credential default provider is a method that returns the same stuff. Yeah. Like that. Now let's see if that works. Bam. Come on. Okay. Now let's see if this is going to work. Press play. Credential is missing. Come on. Let's rerun this thing. What do you mean I also have credentials, Loki? Yes, I am using document client. Oh, maybe I shouldn't be. That's right. Let's try not using the document client. Let's pass in client and then send it the commands that way. The plain DynamoDB client. So let's just. Oh, I can also do that. Cool. Yeah, so I think what you're sharing, Loki, is from what's it called? From the old documentation, or not from the old documentation, from AWS SDK v2. I'm trying to use v3 because v2 had problems on workers or on CloudFlare Workers. Okay, so I don't know what I clicked, but this looks promising. Properties, config, configuration, DynamoDB client config. There we go. Okay, so it does still have credentials. So we can try that as well. Right. Actually, yeah, let's make it simple. We're gonna go here, index.js Apollo, and we're just gonna say this is credentials, this, and run Wrangler dev. And let's try that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And libraries. Okay. Yes. So I am hosting a whole GraphQL server on a single Lambda. And what I'm trying to do now is host a whole GraphQL server on a single Cloudflare worker, just to see how they compare. Expected iterable, but did not find one for field query all widgets. Perfect. So that means it's working. Or rather, this part is working. Now the next part we can do is like I think we're successfully calling things. Now let's try using the document client, which I think does marshalling and unmarshalling of objects for us. And let's see, what does the scan command return? Scan, no, DynamoDB, blah, 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 back, scan command, output. What is the scan command output? The output comes out as count.items. So we're gonna return result.items to the GraphQL server and see what happens. Right. Wrangler dev. Let's see. What is my girlfriend saying? Okay. Wrangler dev, Wrangler dev, Wrangler dev. Come on, you can do this. Bird, what are you doing? Hi. What's up? Kiwi is being suspicious under my desk. Very suspicious. Okay, come on, Wrangler dev. Got this. Hey, stop eating me. Why are you eating me? Okay. Reload the page just to be sure. I don't actually know if that does anything because this is it's talking to an API, but let's press play. Woohoo! Well. This is cool. So we are now... No, my shortcuts don't work anymore. So we are now successfully talking to DynamoDB from a Cloudflare worker and returning a GraphQL query response. That's cool. All right. All right, all right. Now, how can we make the widget part work? So we have this. So this is working. Now I need to do this part. So we're gonna say const command equals new get command that uses all of the same configs, right? I don't know, do these take TTL? It does. So it takes TTL. I'm still not sure why the library I'm using recommends that, but whatever. And we return, we say const result equals await this.dynamo db doc client.send command, and we return result.item. So now to test this, we're gonna wait until the worker, the dev worker restarts, and then we're gonna have, here we have, let's say, widget ID, and we're gonna fetch a specific widget. Come on. Specific widget with widget ID. That's the other query we implemented the other day. And let's press play. Sweet. No. This doc client is not a function. What? No, of course it's not. You need to reload the worker. Okay, let's try again. So Wrangler dev, is the other query going to work? Pa-pa-pam. Come on, computer. So ultimately, oh, right. Ultimately, the goal of this conversion is to see if CloudFlare Workers have better performance than AWS Lambda, which I think they do, but I'm not sure if that's going to hold true when I'm talking to DynamoDB. And to answer your question, Loki, using the V3 API versus V2 in an AWS Lambda, I don't think it will have any performance benefits. It might be just better from a future-proofing perspective, because AWS or Amazon is working on the V3 SDK, not on V2 anymore. So you're going to have more modern code, and I think it works better with code splitting. And so actually, yes, I think it will have performance impacts in terms of start times for your Lambda. I don't think it will have performance impact for how the Lambda runs once it started. The problem with Cloudflare, or putting all of this in Cloudflare Workers, is that the V2 SDK just flat out doesn't work because it's trying to use stuff that doesn't exist on Cloudflare. But the V3 API, the V3 SDK does work. So let's try running the widget query now. Let's see if that works. Get command is not defined. Why did this not auto import? So let's see. Get status git commit -m. Correct. So using the V3 SDK should have smaller bundle size and thus have faster startup time, because instead of everything being packaged in one big blob, they've modularized it so you actually install very small libraries that then piece together, which then makes your entire bundle much smaller. Git commit -a -m, blah, blah, blah. No, So we are saying this is talking to DynamoDB to run comment, to run queries. Party. Okay. Cool. Git push origin CloudFlare Workers. Now let's see. It detected changes. I don't know if it actually reran the things. Haha, nice. So then we can get the thumbs up count and the thumbs down count for the widget, which works. So the next step is I'm honestly not sure anymore that we're getting anything useful from DynamoDB data source. So I'm going to rewrite, of course I am. I'm going to write a small version of it that we can then use for to implement a data source for the other table. Yes. So we're going to crib from this implementation here and make a new file. Hey Fuzzy Buddy, it's going pretty well. We actually got a CloudFlare worker on my local host to talk to a DynamoDB database hosted on actual AWS. So that part is working. We're now going to try to expand it to, what's it called? We're going to try to expand it to, I forgot what I was talking about. Oh yeah, we're going to implement the other queries and then try to compare the performance of the AWS Lambda implementation with the performance of the CloudFlare Worker implementation. In theory, CloudFlare Workers should be faster, but I think they might be hamstrung by talking to my central DynamoDB tables. All right, so we're going to say class DynamoDB data source extends data source, which comes from const data source equals require Polo data source. So this is basically just a shim or a very lightweight implementation called DynamoDB data source.js. I hate that we're writing all of this in JavaScript instead of in TypeScript. Using AWS SDK v3 instead of v2, cribbed heavily from original implementation in this. So we're going to have a constructor that's going to get a table name and a table key schema. Yes. And it's going to get a config. And then we're going to say this dot client equals new. And we're going to take stuff from here. So we created this client. Like this, and we're gonna say this dot client equals blah, and we need to require these things again like that. So they come from these two places: scan command, get command, table name, table key schema, config this client, DynamoDB client from, and we're also gonna need to call super. Aren't we? Yes. All right. So we call super with nothing. That's the original data source. And then we say we can copy this stuff, table name and table schema, like that. Come on, save. and we say model.exports equals DynamoDB data source. Come on, DynamoDB data source. Kiwi is doing pretty well. He's currently being silly. He's currently romping around the apartment unwatched. So now we're going to say here, same as we have for get item. So this is basically get item. We're going to take this Okay. So let's make async get item that gets stuff, get item input, and returns almost the same things. Return result dot item, and it's going to create a new command for us. And key user ID, widget ID, this dot table name, table key schema. So it's gonna take get item input, right? What? Why is this still okay? And then get command needs to be imported from here. Let's get command, and let's get scan command. Okay, get item input. So here, when we say this, we're gonna say return this dot get item with key user ID, widget ID, like that. So that should be all we need, because then DynamoDB data source is going to call result this dot client, this client send. Then we're gonna make the same one for scan, which is the other one we're using. Async scan input. And then later on, we're going to deal with what the cache is doing, because I think the cache is going to be really a promising way to the cache would be really promising. Okay, is my camera back? Cool. All right. So we get the scan input, which is going to run the same code as before. So we can delete this stuff. We can say we require DynamoDB data source. We require this from /dynamo. Come on, DynamoDB data source. So now we need to add the scan command. So we copy all of this, go back to scan, and we say const command equals consistent read. We take all of this stuff, right? Let's take all of this stuff and say dot scan input, take the TTL, we go back to here. Wow, my computer is getting so slow. And we are going to say just like this, return this dot scan with only the filter expression, because we're not going to need the other stuff. I guess we can pass in the TTL. Please.ttl. We have that, and then we okay. So get all widget, and then in DynamoDB source we say return result.items. Wow. Okay, so now we're going to rerun Wrangler dev and hope for the best. Let's see what this does. So hopefully this works exactly the same as it did before, except I would love to get the cache in there as well, because I think the benefit of cache is going to be that the way that Cloudflare workers work, because they run close to the user, the more that you can cache there, especially for reads, the better it is, because then you actually get the full performance boost of using Cloudflare workers instead of AWS Lambda. I think. We'll see. Okay. Let's try this again. It should just work. Nope, it doesn't. What failed? What did we do wrong? Doc client is not defined. What? Oh, this dot client. Right? Where does it say doc client? No. Does it say doc client here somewhere? Yes. Okay. So it would be nice if my computer worked faster, but it, you know, like we said earlier, it's doing its best. So this rerun, actually, let me just rerun it manually because I'm not sure. Oh shit, I think you're right. No, scan command should be declared. But const command equals, I think that's what you meant. Low-key, as far as I know, it's not. I don't think I don't think anything is pre-installed on AWS Lambda. You have to do it yourself. Which is better because it should be maintained through your package JSON anyway. And it would be weird if it was just there by default. Come on, computer. You got this. Okay. So, play. Does that work? Sweet. So we got it working. Status git add dot git commit -a-m start fork of Apollo data source DynamoDB. Fantastic. All right, so we have that. Now the next part are all of the mutations I had from before, which we can try to implement now. Because they go to, I think a lot of them go to a different table, so we're gonna see. What was I doing? Oh yeah, we should also figure out if DynamoDB, if the v3 SDK supports cache. See here we have the cache key and stuff. So how does that work? Build items cache map, build key, DynamoDB cache. Okay, so it looks like they implemented their own caching system here. So I'm not gonna copy that for now because, yeah. So that's a server caching for Apollo. We can deal with that later, but it would be cool. All right, so we're gonna deal with that later. Now let's implement the other mutations so that we can actually start seeing what happens here. So DynamoDB data source. If we go to my schema.js, we have all of these mutations that we need to put back. So type mutation, type, let's move the query type down. Don't know why it's defined up there. Okay. Or I guess that's fine. This is copy pasted from the previous version of this project. So we have this. Now we need to make the save widget, widget vote, and save feedback commands, which we're gonna go crib from. No, we don't need that part here. No, we don't need, okay, we can keep that open. That's the data source DynamoDB. If we go to, okay, we don't, actually, I might need that. Go to, here we go. This is my previous version of the project. Go to source. And then we have the mutation resolvers. So we're going to implement these guys. So we go into widgets table. Okay, so first we're gonna have a mutation to create a new widget. Do I actually need that? No, I don't need that right now. Do I? Let's just go. So, dude. Okay, DynamoDB data source resolvers. So we now need to define the mutation resolvers. All right, I need to go get Kiwi because he's screaming very loudly from his cage. All right. Let's see. So mutation, we have the save widget mutation, which gets an async source, and then it gets the widget type, user ID. Actually, you know what? We're just gonna do it like this. Props. Yeah, let's call it props, and it gets data sources from Apollo, and we are going to return data sources widgets table, and we're gonna call it put widget, save widget. Hi Bert. Let's call it save widget as well. And save widget is going to get all of the same props. Cool. Then we go into DynamoDB data source. No, go into widgets table, and we say async our save widget, which now gets widget type, user ID, widget ID, and the follow-up questions. We're not actually going to test this, but it's here for completeness. Aha. So if there is no widget ID, we create a new one. Say widget ID equals UUID. I don't know if this, no, this should not go here. This should go in here in the resolver. I'm not actually sure. Yeah, I'm not sure where this should go. Let's put it here, because this is very specific. So the resolvers are just connecting queries and data sources, whereas the data sources are like fat models that take care of controlling a table. So it makes sense to put this here. So if there's no ID identified, so now we need to say yarn add UUID, and we now const UUID v4 equals require UUID slash v4. Okay, come on, scroll down. We get that. Then we say const created at equals new date to ISO string. Okay, so you can put the same comment here, and then we have okay. Wow, computer, why are you being like this? And we say const result equals await this dot put item, I think, or update item. Should we call it update or put? What is the original Dynamo data source calling it? So the original data source has, oh, this is the cache implementation, DynamoDB data source, which has a get item query is useful, scan is useful, put. Does it have update? Okay, let's just make an update function for now. So it's going to call this dot update with all of the same arguments from, where was it? Is it this one? Okay. Don't need that. Don't need that. Where am I looking? There we go. Mutations. So we're gonna copy all of this. So update looks like that, and then we go in. Oh, fuck's sake! And we go into DynamoDB data source, and we implement the update function. Async update gets update input, and then runs const command equals new. Let's see what does, how are they doing it here? No, where is it? This one? Yeah. Update input equals new update command. Let's see, will I get an auto import suggestion? I know that there's an update command, it must exist. Yeah, there we go. Update command, which gets table name, this dot table name, and it gets, what does it get? So key, update expression. And the expression attribute values. Okay. Oh, we should do it like that. That's a nice one. So pass in the key update expression and expression attribute names, expression attribute values. Yeah, let's do it this way. So we're gonna say, instead of update input, it's gonna get the key, the update expression. Actually, you know what? We can just pass it in. Return value. Ah, that's the useful part. Actually, yeah. So we're gonna say update input, and we say return values are all new. And we pass in the update input. Okay. Like that. And then we say const result equals await this dot client dot send the command, and we return result dot attributes. Yes. So we have the update. We have the update query now. Now we need the other mutations. What are my other mutations? That's the save widget. Then we have save feedback and widget vote. Perfect. Okay. So the save feedback is going to be a new one of this. So we have the widgets table, and then we're going to have the feedbacks table. Right? Yes. Okay, let's see. Let's git commit this. Git commit -m, save widget thingy. What's it called? Mutation. All right. So let's see. What do I need to do? I need to copy all of this and make a new one. And we're going to, this one is just gonna have save feedback. So we're gonna save this, Command S as feedbacks table.js. And we say, then we go back to my serverless configuration to find out the key schema. So let's see, joy feedbacks table has attribute name, widget ID, and that's an S. Oh yeah. Oh wait. Widget ID and vote ID, right? Yep. So we have the widget ID and we have the vote ID. And then the table is called, what did we call it in the toml? Table is called feedbacks table. Okay, feedbacks table. And then we're gonna go back. Come on. Back. Source. Feedback. Notifications. GraphQL. Mutations. So the mutations are going to be just to say feedback. So we create the new thing, and this is going to be feedbacks table. And we export feedbacks table, and then we have to import it in the Apollo.js. Here in Apollo.js, we import const feedbacks table require / data sources feedbacks table, like that. And we instantiate a new one. Feedbacks table as a data source is a new feedbacks table that gets all of the same configs as the other one. Bam. Okay, so we now have two data sources. One is the widgets table, one is the feedbacks table. Oh, why is my FPS so slow? All right, data sources, new widgets table. And now we can go back to the resolvers. And in the resolvers, we're going to save feedback is the resolver, comes async, gets the source, gets some props, gets the data sources, and then it calls what? So it might actually call multiple things. Aha, no, it doesn't. It's just going to call update item for now. So it calls return, what? Return data sources dot feedbacks table dot save feedback with our props. Huzzah. What is missing? Okay, huzzah. Now we go into the feedbacks table and we write some more boilerplate here. We don't need that stuff. This is going to be called save feedback, and it's going to get these guys. Come on. Gets that. Okay. And then we say, are we defining the vote ID of this? Oh, I guess save feedback needs to have the vote ID already. Yeah, because the widget vote is where it happens. Interesting. Okay. So save feedback. We're gonna just call this fields. Instance of joy, voter, vote type. What? Oh, I see. Okay. So I'm just gonna copy paste this because it should just work. So we copy paste and then we say const result equals await this dot update, and we have the key, we have the update expression, and we have the expression attribute values, right? And then we return the result. So we can actually just say return here. All right. So this should enable us to store the feedbacks after you vote up or down on the thing. And we're not using TypeScript here, so I need to remove some of this stuff. Cool. Okay, we got that. Now we need the widget vote, which is going to be talking both to the widgets table and to the feedbacks table. I think we'll see. So we go to make a new resolver, resolvers.js. This is the widget vote resolver, which is async, gets a source, gets some props, and gets data sources. And then it does what? It's going to okay, it would be really nice if this stuff wasn't spamming so hard. Let me check something. All right. Cool. So let's see. What does this do? We need to create the vote ID, and then we need to save the feedback, and we need to update okay. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. This is going to take this const widget is going to be start with the feedback. Const feedback equals data sources dot feedbacks table dot. So this is going to be update feedback, and we're going to have create feedback with props, right? So update because it looks like they have the same props. So we go to feedbacks table and we update this to say update feedback. And then we have async create, let's go here. So async create feedback, which gets all of this stuff. and it actually isn't going to need all of that stuff. It's going to need the user ID and the widget ID. Right? Let's see, what does, so widget ID, vote ID, instance of joy, created that. Aha, so it's gonna need, this stuff. So instance of joy, the voter, and then we're going to go here and we're gonna say const vote ID equals UUID v4 and const created at equals new date to ISO string. And it's also going to need to get the vote type. Actually, no, it's going to get thumbs up equals false and thumbs down equals false. This is a weird API I designed, but it's okay. So thumbs up, thumbs down, created at, and then we call this dot update feedback with the same stuff. Right? Right. Actually, it's not going to get the user ID. So we call this dot update feedback because the update is an upsert. Is it an upsert? No, it's not. How did I make this here? So here the update is, okay, so you can call the update directly. That's fine. Okay, so we're gonna call the same thing. This update feedback with widget ID, vote ID, instance of joy, voter, and vote type, right? And then we're going to define the vote type based on, how did we do it before? This is getting complicated. So the same vote type we had before is being defined here. Okay. So we have that, and then we call update feedback, and we return that. Okay. We get the voter, we get the instance of joy, and then we pass in the widget ID. Cool. And then here in DynamoDB, no, not in DynamoDB, in resolvers, we have const feedback is create feedback. We have const widget equals data sources dot widgets table dot, then what do we have here? Feedbacks table, update table, feedbacks, no, the widgets table, which has get all widgets, save widget, and we are just gonna call, oh no, there needs to be an update widget. What? Oh, wait. No, it's adding a, it's updating the widget vote count. So we're gonna say, where are we? Widgets table, no, come on. Resolvers widget equals, so we have create add vote, yeah, add widget vote. And that widget vote is going to get all of the same props. And then we go to the widgets table and we say, instead of save widget, I'm gonna copy paste this. Actually, no, we're not. We're gonna say async add widget vote, which is gonna get the user ID, the widget ID, the thumbs up and the thumbs down, like that. And then we're gonna run this same stuff. We say const result equals await this dot update, and we pass in all of this same stuff as we have here, this stuff, right? And we return result. So we can just return this whole thing. Return this dot update. So this should now just work. I'm gonna run it again to make sure it's working, and then we can try it out. Not sure yet how we're gonna try it out. Actually, I do know how we can try it out. But let's first see if it's working. Okay. So is the playground working? Okay, the queries are still working. That's great. Great. And we now have the mutations here as well. So now what we're gonna do is, let's see, how should I test this? Git add dot -m. Yeah. Whoa, what did I do? Okay. So now we can port mutation. We say we ported mutations, port mutations from Lambda implementation. Okay, git push origin CloudFlare Workers. And now the way I'm gonna try this, I wonder if there's a dev mode on publish. Let's try Wrangler publish. Basically what I'm gonna try to do is deploy this to essentially to production, try to deploy. So we're deploying remotely, and then I'm gonna go into my local front end and configure it to talk to Cloudflare instead of to AWS Lambda, and then we can compare the performance of each, or like rather the latency. So we'll see what happens there. But first, I need to go figure out in Cloudflare if I can put a worker into dev mode, because I don't want it to talk to my production database when we're doing this test. So Cloudflare Workers, overview. So we have the Cloudflare CF backend, which is in production. What? does this have 65 requests already? Actually, I know what we can do. We're gonna go into the configuration. I know. We can go here, production, and we can create an environment. Environment to duplicate is production, and we call the dev Oh, okay. It might be fine. Wait, can we see settings? Variables? So, okay. So it is talking to the dev version of everything. So if we go to the deployed one, we say underscore GraphQL. Was it? Or was it 3 underscores? Nope. God damn it. So 3 underscores GraphQL. No? Yes. Cool. So I'm going to copy over the same query we were running here, which should return a result, meaning that this is actually running against my development database. Perfect. So that's working. So now we're going to go into my here. And first we're going to yarn start on. So we're starting this. So we're starting the front end connecting to AWS Lambda, just so we can verify that it's working. We're going to take this widget ID, and wait for Gatsby to start up. Come on. What? Okay. Oh, come on. Can you open DevTools, please? Computer, come on. There we go. It managed to open DevTools. Huzzah. Mm-hmm. Okay, come on. Okay. Come on. Cool. Come on, run already. So if I go to localhost 8000 /ID thumbs up, voter equals me at Swizz, and instance of joy equals this is test. Come on, Gatsby, you got this. All right. So this ran and then talked to GraphQL, created a vote, and the response time was, where can I see that? Cool. So that was fast. See, 363 milliseconds to get a response from AWS Lambda. Cool. Now, what happens? Wait, did it actually talk to the Lambda version? Yes, so it talks to the Lambda version. And now we're going to go into the front-end config, env helper, come on, env helper, and we're gonna change this server URL to be what? Server URL is now going to be this thing. Where are my workers? This guy. So this is now going to be the server URL. And we can try yarn start again and we'll see what happens. So hopefully it's still going to work at least, but we'll see if it actually does or not. I do know we need to clear local storage because of some stuff that I have set up. Okay, come on. Come on, computer. Let's open a new one. Come on, open. Open the dev console. Yes, you can talk to CloudFlare. Cool, so that was cool. It is actually trying to talk to CloudFlare, and it is failing. What is failing? What? Let's try again. Maybe I didn't click allow connections fast enough. Because while Gatsby is building, it's trying to talk to my Cloudflare worker, which is then talking to my DynamoDB database to decide which pages to create. So maybe when I wasn't allowing it to connect to Cloudflare fast enough, that could have broken things. Nope. It looks like it's not working. Now, why is that not working? In Gatsby node line 35. Gatsby node line 35. Come on. Data widgets API, all widget for each of null. Why is all widget returning null? Oh, I know why all widgets is returning null. It's because we misimplemented it. So all widget should actually be returning all of them regardless of the ID. So if we go to widgets table, let's see. So widgets table, the implementation here, get all widgets, should be done with an optional user ID, right? Because if we go to the schema and if we look at all widget, it says that user ID is optional. Aha. So how did I implement that before? No, that's the wrong file. If we go here, no, that's the workers template. Where's my code? There. So the all widget query, all widget query here, it says if the user ID is defined, so const query equals, if the user ID is defined, it gets all of this, otherwise it's just empty. Okay, come on, save the code. Oh my god. Let's try it this way. If user ID, then return this dot scan with all of this stuff, else, oh, and we pass in the TTL. Wait, what? How is the scan defined? Scan input, right. Come on. Widgets table, scan, else we just return this dot scan. Like this. Now. Ah, yes, that's what was failing. TTL this dot TTL. And otherwise, TTL this dot TTL. Okay. So now I'm going to say Wrangler publish, and we're going to try again. Yes, I'm testing straight up on deployment, but that's fine.
Yeah, so I'm...
Wow, that was loud. All right, so okay, now if I rerun this, or actually let's go here on Cloudflare backend blah, I can now run an all widget query without a user ID, and I should get results, right? Come on, play. No, I can't click play anymore. Why not? All widget. Bam. What is it complaining about? Play? Play, play? No? Oh, do I have to pass in an empty user ID? Okay. Now let's see if yarn start is going to work this time. So this should create pages for me, and then I should be able to make a vote using the Cloudflare Workers. Hi. Okay, come on. Come on, computer. There we go. All right, so we now have it running. Now, what was the URL again? Do I have the whole thing? Nope. So localhost 8000 slash this one. Actually, no, let's go with, let's take a widget ID from here. Okay. Thumbs up slash voter equals me at Swizzit and instance of joy equals this b test. Let's see what happens. Nice. So it seems to have worked. Did it save the vote? Cloudflare course error. What? Why is there a course error? I wanted to enable course. Okay. So it tried to make the thing, but failed. At least I think it failed. Let's see. Yes, totally failed. So now what we can check for is CloudFlare Worker course. How do we enable? Okay, if we go to what is index.js, GraphQL options, playground, endpoint, yes, forward unmatched request to origin, debug, course, true. On GraphQL request, set to true for defaults, see blah, or pass an object to configure each header. Let's try this then. Ah, fuck. Let's keep that running. And then Wrangler publish. So we're now trying to enable course everywhere, which hopefully works this way. Okay, come on. I just want this to work so that, yes. I just want it to work so that I can move on with my life. Maybe. Come on, publish Wrangler. You can do it. There we go. Cool. Now let's try this again. So clear the application cache. Nope, don't need to. Sources, network, clear, bam. And Okay, sweet. Wow. Okay. Well, at least it's trying. So let's filter by... How can I... Let's filter by CloudFlare. Oh, nice. So let's see, what was the response? Preview. Data widget vote is null instead of what it should be. And then that's why the vote ID wasn't working. Cool. So we have a bug in our port. So when I moved code around, what did I miss? GraphQL, mutations. Save feedback. Yes, yes, yes. Widget vote. Creates a vote ID. And then returns the widget and the feedback. Oh, I think that's what I did wrong. So if we go to our resolvers, yes. So here I need to return feedback and widget, like that. Okay. And then we Wrangler publish again, and we're gonna try again. And I think that'll be it. Dude. Come on. Come on, computer, publish. Come on. Let's get this working. Just one last thing. Da, 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 da. Okay. Bam. So we got this working, I think. What? Oh. Sweet. And we get the response, right? Cannot return null for non-nullable field. Vote result, vote ID. That didn't work. Why is it saying that vote ID is null? Okay, so I'm getting a little frustrated with how slow my computer is, and I also need a break. So I'm gonna stop streaming now, and then I'm going to continue later. Probably not streaming, but I'm gonna continue with this and probably write a blog about it, maybe next week, something like that. So thanks anyone who was watching. I think this has been very informative so far. Bye.